It's that feeling we all know too well, an itch. You're going about your day, maybe watching TV or trying to focus on an important task when it happens. That pesky itch. Maybe it's on your arm, your foot, or even your nose. And before you know it, your hand is on its way to scratching it, almost on autopilot. But have you ever wondered why scratching an itch brings relief? Or why it even happens in the first place? Let's scratch the surface of this curious sensation and dive deep into the science behind itching. Spoiler alert, it's more complicated than you think. The birth of an itch. Meet your skin's superpower. First things first, let's talk about skin, the body's largest organ. This marvel of nature is like your personal suit, always protecting you from the outside world. And one of the key functions of skin is the ability to feel. Yes, the sensation of touch is a big deal. But what's even more interesting is that touch isn't just one simple sensation. Oh no, it's multifaceted, kind of like an overachieving Swiss Army knife. One of those facets, and one of the most annoying, is the itch. Now let's be clear, an itch is not just a mild version of pain. If you're scratching because you think it's the same as when you stub your toe on the coffee table, think again. For a long time, scientists believed that itching was simply a low-grade version of pain, but they were wrong. It's its own sensation, with a life of its own. And no, it's not just a cousin of pain that hangs around at family gatherings. The itchy truth, proprioceptors are the culprits. So what exactly is going on in your skin when you feel an itch? In short, there are special receptors in your skin, known as proprioceptors. Yes, you can impress your friends by dropping this word at your next dinner party. These little guys are the ones that detect the subtle sensations that trigger an itch. Imagine this. You're walking through a field, and suddenly you feel a fly land on your arm. The lightest touch from those little legs is enough to fire up the proprioceptors, and voila, an itch is born. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Itching isn't like the sharp, intense pain you feel when you touch something hot. No, it's a whole different beast. While both itching and pain travel along similar neural pathways, the brain's highways, if you will, they're not exactly taking the same car. They follow the same road, but at slightly different speeds and with different vehicles. Kind of like that one friend who insists on driving a convertible instead of a regular car. When it comes to sending signals from your skin to your brain, proprioceptors are the star of the show, using a neurotransmitter called MPPB. Don't worry, we'll just call it itch juice for fun. This neurotransmitter is responsible for sending the itch signal to your brain, and once it arrives, well, you know the rest. Not all itches are created equal. Now, not all itches are the same. Some are mild and almost pleasant, like that moment when you scratch your nose in the middle of a meeting and secretly enjoy it. Others, however, can be intense, maddening, and downright unbearable. So why the variation? Researchers believe that the intensity of an itch depends on what's causing it. A mild itch might be caused by a gentle touch, like a fly landing on you. But if you're scratching away at something more intense, like a mosquito bite or an allergic reaction, the itch is likely signaling something more serious, such as an infection or irritation. Your body's itchy radar is simply doing its job, alerting you to potential threats. Itching also plays a role in your body's defense mechanisms. It's a built-in warning system, a red flag that something small, but potentially dangerous, has made contact with your skin. You might not realize it at the time, but that itch could be the result of something like a mosquito bite or a harmful allergen. When you scratch, you're essentially trying to remove the irritant. And guess what? Your body rewards you with a moment of relief, though it's only temporary. Why scratching feels so good and bad? Let's talk about the most interesting part. Why does scratching actually feel good? Surely it can't just be about getting rid of the irritation, right? As it turns out, scratching an itch activates a lot more than just the proprioceptors. It stimulates a bunch of other sensory receptors in your skin. This creates a competing sensation that kind of drowns out the itchy feeling, like blasting your favorite song to block out a loud noise. You know the feeling. When you scratch an itch, it's like your brain is suddenly distracted by something else. The itch signal is drowned out by other sensory signals, which gives you a fleeting sense of relief. Even though scratching feels good in the moment, it doesn't fix the problem. In fact, excessive scratching can actually make things worse. You've probably heard the phrase, "Don't scratch that itch," and for good reason. Continuous scratching can damage your skin, leading to even more irritation and sometimes infection. So while scratching might feel like the right thing to do, it's really just a temporary distraction from the underlying issue. Think of it as putting a Band-Aid on a paper cut. Yeah, it might stop the bleeding, but it doesn't address the root cause. The battle of itch versus scratch, a never-ending war. As much as we might hate to admit it, itching and scratching is a never-ending cycle. You scratch to relieve the itch, but that moment of relief is fleeting. In fact, scratching can sometimes make you more prone to itching later on. Your brain gets used to the sensation of scratching, and soon enough, you're on a never-ending loop of itch and scratch, like a hamster running in a wheel. It's maddening, isn't it? So what can you do to break the cycle? Well, for one, it's best to avoid scratching in the first place. Easier said than done, of course. If you have an intense itch, try some alternatives like gently massaging the area or applying a cold compress. These actions can help activate other sensory receptors that might dull the itch without causing further harm to your skin. You can also use topical creams or ointments designed to reduce itching, particularly if you're dealing with something like dry skin or an insect bite. When itching goes too far, when to see a doctor. Now, while most itches are harmless and will go away on their own, there are times when itching signals a deeper problem. If you find yourself scratching excessively or dealing with persistent itching that doesn't improve, it might be time to consult a doctor. Conditions like eczema, psoriasis, and certain allergic reactions can cause chronic itching. Even systemic issues like liver disease, kidney disease, or certain cancers can be associated with severe itching. So if you're scratching nonstop and it's affecting your quality of life, don't hesitate to seek professional advice. Scratching the surface. So next time you find yourself giving in to the temptation to scratch, just remember, it's not just an automatic reaction. There's a whole science behind the sensation of itching, and your skin's perceptors are playing the lead role. But be cautious with your scratching, because while it may feel good at first, it's just a temporary fix. Itching is one of those sensations that, no matter how much we understand it, remains a little bit of a mystery. But hey, that's what makes it so fascinating. In the grand scheme of things, itching might be a small part of our everyday experience, but it's certainly a sensation that gets a lot of attention. And that's a wrap on the mysterious world of itching. If you've learned something new today, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more mind-bending science facts, weird body hacks, and all the strange stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Oh, and don't forget to drop a comment below telling us the weirdest place you've ever had an itch, because let's face it, we've all been there. Until next time, stay scratch-free.